This is Dr. Ariel Policano with the Genius Insight Support Call. We do this every Monday at no charge to you, the community, and we've been doing it for years. The Genius Insight is a biofeedback program that helps to evaluate your energy field, and it gives you lots of really great feedback. I am starting a biofeedback practitioner program on October the 4th of October. So I have some free webinars talking about that program this week. So if you think you might be interested in the information to become a biofeedback practitioner, and you don't have to think about this as definitely you want to charge money for it, but it's going to make your skills working with yourself and your family even better. So here's the link to sign up. There's 2 webinars this week. There's one on Tuesday. Actually, there's 3. There are 3 introductory webinars this week. So here's the link, and you can sign up for the one that you want. Let me do it one more time here. In the Biofeedback Practitioner Program, you'll be able to understand how to talk about biofeedback, which is extremely important that we talk about it properly. And we'll be able to talk about how you can build a business and get yourself out there and help people in a way that doesn't trip any bells for anybody, because you're talking about this as an energy medicine practitioner. And there's basically no license requirements currently for biofeedback practitioners. It's just really important, and it's really important for me to train you. So I don't think anybody here would ever go out and say, I've diagnosed somebody with Lyme. We just really want to be clear about how we're talking about this and how we're sharing the information with other people. I also have an intuitive eating program coming up, so if you're interested in that, then send me a message, ariel@awakentotalhealth.com. The idea, it's called Your Body Knows What to Eat, and it's really about all of the dogma that's out there about natural health, and how I spent a good part of my life trying to figure out which side to be on, and there are huge sides out there: low carb, ketosis. But what's right for you? And this is actually related to biofeedback, and we'll be using our Genius as part of this. But the thing with the Genius and the thing with knowing what to eat, there's one thing in common, and that's you. You are the centering force of all of it. And it's really important, even for every reason out there, our health, politically, relationships, that we see ourselves as that, that everything emanates from us initially. We are responsible, but also we are the knowers. The Genius is a vehicle to you as the knower. When you're checking in with the Genius, you're not just checking in with technology, but you're checking in with universal consciousness. That's really all that this is meant to be a vehicle to. It's not to give you answers that you couldn't find within yourself, but it is to enhance that connection and to be a vehicle to that connection until you can really find it within yourself. So the intuitive eating program is really about how do we draw wisdom from ourselves and then actually enjoy our food and know that we can eat a variety of foods and still stay healthy. After all, there are many, many good programs out there. You know, Abraham Hicks, Esther Hicks talks about that we think it's the toxins in the food that make us sick, but there are actually so many toxins in healthy food that we're not aware of. So if when we eat it, we think, oh, this is going to make me healthy. So is it the food itself, or is it the fact that you believed that when you ate the food, it would make you healthy? So that's what that is all about. If you have your name, if you have a name and date of birth, I think you all have a name and date of birth. If you have a date of birth that you'd like to send to me, I can do a sample session on you. And while we're figuring all of that out, let me just bring up a client who's allows me to do this. Hang on. Give you guys some information about something I'm working on. It's another package to go along with the nerve program. And It actually has to do with the cardiovascular system and really the vascular system of the body. And I'm going to be showing you how to use this, and when I have it complete. What I'm doing is I'm taking all the arteries and vessels of the body and I'm putting them into some of our testing libraries, but they're very detailed. Let's just look at heart major arteries for a second. And I think that this is something that is really exciting that we can put onto the Genius that is usually available only with much more expensive programs, like programs that are upwards of $10, $15, even $30,000. And so what I'm doing is I'm taking every single vessel in the body, and when you identify which of the vessels are at issue, then you can work on them with biofeedback, and you can add in emotions, and you can add in different remedies, which I'll show you how to do that. But it's my feeling that the vessels in particular and the nerves are two very important conduits into healing the body. Your circulation is of the utmost importance. I can't even emphasize enough how important it is to keep the circulatory system of the body open. The problem that biofeedback solves is that often you don't know where the problems are starting and you don't have anything to do about it. So this can really help you to identify which one of my arteries or veins is, and arteries tend to be more of the issue, which ones are problematic, where is the problem starting, and then allows you to open up the flow, right, through sending information to that particular issue. So in this particular individual, we can identify the left common carotid artery, the popliteal artery, the femoral artery, the descending aorta. And what's important about this is that this actually for this individual comes up again and again and again. Like the results change slightly, but they're very consistent as we're working on these issues. The numbers eventually will find their way into the middle, but it's always interesting to see how consistent this is. And then we have the common hepatic artery, the splenic artery, the celiac artery, the external common carotid artery. And I'm going to give you another guide to this so that you can find your way through this and explain a little bit about the things that support flow in the cardiovascular, in the vascular area. So I think you guys are about to enter into another year of incredible discoveries about what the Genius can do, how biofeedback can really change our lives. So it's rather, thrilling, really, to be a part of this, and I appreciate you being excited and being enthusiastic about learning all of this. So let me show you what you can do here is, first of all, you can balance all of these, and if you just wanted to work on this, you could actually put in some of those already. You can put in everything if you wanted to get a bunch of these in there, and you'd be surprised, even going up to 600, you can really find a lot of things that will float to the top in Progressive Insights. So let's do this one, do that. And then what I do is the heart solutions, because what we want to do is we want to get into the balancing mix both the issue itself and then the solution, and we want to run those frequencies together. So we want to present the energy of the solution into the arteries that are problematic. So we've got hawthorn berry as one of the top solutions, right? We know that arginine, this is a type of arginine, really helps to open up the vessels. Serrapeptase helps to reduce inflammation. It's a proteolytic enzyme that helps to eat up the inflammation. Vitamin E, don't take vitamin E or niacin without knowing more about them. You can contact me for more information. Let's just get these in there just for and we'll talk about them if they come up. There's another form of arginine. Taurine is a very good amino acid for the heart. Cactus helps with the valves of the heart and helps the beating of the heart. What I really want to do is I want to show you two things. First, I want to show you this to go to Progressive Insights. When we go to Progressive Insights, remember this is the strongest testing area of the program, you guys. You want to throw the widest net of the most frequencies that have somewhat of a probability to be significant. And then we want to begin the analysis. What rises to the top? And I'm going to be looking for what are the arteries that are the most concerning, and I'm going to be taking note of that. That's interesting. The splenic artery. This is in the digestive area. Could this impairment in the splenic artery be the reason that the person might be having digestive issues? Could meditation or other issues, that other things that open up flow, whether it be Tai Chi, yoga, walking, stretching, meditation, I said meditation, the beamer mat. You guys know I'm a big fan of the beamer mat, that open up that energy. You guys, I do not go one day without sleeping on that beamer mat. You guys know that's a form of pulsed frequency, and I'm just, the level of heart disease in my family, even being 100% vegan, I do not take any chances. I'm always on that pulsed frequency to open up the capillaries of the body, which the capillaries will be included in this program that I'm creating as well with these custom testing libraries. Okay, so we go here to the ones that we find of interest. We highlight the ones that are high, and then as a practitioner or as somebody testing yourself, you always want to notice what is coming up as high. I think that when you get a whole bunch of high things here, I think it's because you're hitting home runs with the things you're bringing into your testing tray. So let me say it again. When you get a lot of things that are high, it's because you're hitting a home run with the things that you've chosen to put into the testing tray. That's what I'm finding. So I have a few important things to talk about here. You guys who are new to the program, don't worry about checking anything on the left side. That is not an issue that we need to worry about. Then the #1 remedy is serrapeptase. So I have to change the spelling of this. But serrapeptase is a proteolytic enzyme that helps to reduce inflammation, helps to clear the vessels. Think of it like a roto-rooter for the vessels, as is sort of nattokinase. Then there's more arginine. So it tells me that for the client, that serrapeptase, that arginine and trimethylglycine are very important. Trimethylglycine, you see that word methyl in there, and that's something that adds to the methylation process, detoxification, helping to process nutrition in the body in a helpful way. And so this person needs more methyl groups. So beets, B-E-E-T-S, is really, really good. The internal iliac artery, right, in the groin area. So these are things that are coming up for them. And even as a practitioner, you just want to tell them, as you explain to them and you raise their level of awareness, they begin to change things within themselves. It's a complicated thing to explain, but you know, part of the reason you go to the doctor is because the doctor brings you a new level of awareness, and that may be, when they're bringing positive levels of awareness, that may be the most valuable part of the whole interaction. Because if you know what is out of balance, you can actually send your attention there to correct the imbalance and to create more flow. This is how we heal ourselves. So this is a lot of the value of biofeedback, is raising your level of awareness, and in the practitioner engagement that you're sharing that with the other person. Okay, so now another thing that I really want to bring to your attention, so this is really the popliteal artery, the dorsal pedis artery. These are down in the lower extremity, so there may be an impairment of circulation down into the lower extremities. You guys, this is what causes aging. This is what causes, right? You think about a stroke or anything in the body that is related to aging. Obviously, I'm not talking about a stroke in the feet, but getting the circulation into your brain, getting it into the extremities. Anytime that starts to become impaired, that's a concern, and that can be part of the aging process. If we were able to keep these vessels as open as possible over the whole course of one's lifetime, then life is going to be much better. Life is going to have more flow. And the nerves are a part of this too. That's why we have that nerve assessment panel. They're bringing the energy. They're bringing that electrical flow. And so I see the nerves and the arteries and the vessels as being an extremely important part of our biofeedback work, and being able to get down to the finest detail. You know the expression, the devil is in the details? Well, I think like the heaven is in the details, you know, the light is in the details. Sometimes when we're able to get to those really fine points with biofeedback, we may be able to nail the problem in a really positive way, or clear the energy out right where the issue is. So I love going down to these finer details of these different vessels. I think that has real value. So you review this, and then one more thing that I want to add is this, my friend Liza calls it cell cleansing, and it's what I've called the 3-minute continuous protocol. And what you do is you run the frequencies, and a lot of you guys have already heard me say this, so it's not that new. But I do think that this has real value. If you run these frequencies for 3 minutes, and you guys, a lot is happening in 3 minutes. It's only in our minds where we have to run the frequencies forever. I would not be surprised to find out that the genius works if you run the frequency for 1 second. Because it's only in our mind where it takes a long time for things to happen. It takes a long time to travel somewhere. It takes a long time for us to change our minds. You know, that's only human ego stuff. So my sense is that a lot happens in 3 minutes. And so you run this for 3 minutes, and then you're going to do what I've said in the past, is you're going to add 1 frequency to your main hold tray and then reshuffle everything. My experience is this allows us to clear the frequencies that are blocked superficially, and then we're able to go to a much deeper level. We're able to clear the superficial and go to a much deeper level by this process. We run for 3 minutes. Let's stop it now because we don't have all that time. And then we add in 1, it can be anything that you have not added before. Just add in 1 thing, a methylfolate. I don't know if I added it. No, because it added it now. And methylfolate is good because we saw that trimethylglycine. So there's a need for methylation. So let's go ahead and put that in there. And then we want to do the progressive insights. You guys, the whole, it's amazing that it goes right to the top. The whole essence of the genius is the progressive insights. There really is incredible value in taking the broad net of the likely probability that's in the main part of the program and then getting everything tested in progressive insights, because this tells you, you know, give me the facts, ma'am. Give me the most important stuff, ma'am. This is where all of the juicy action is. Now, I find what I'm finding interesting is now we're getting a lot more solutions and a lot less problem, which is fascinating, isn't it? And still we see some of these. So look at that left common carotid. Remember, that was way at the top. Now it's moved down a little bit, but it's still high priority. So it tells us this is something we really want to look at, and I would make a note of it. And this is something we want to come back to and think about, and you really see that the energy is starting to shift and change here, and that popliteal artery. And I think it's important to have visuals, so I'm going to include some visuals when I have this complete, so that you can look and see where the popliteal artery is. It's down below the knee. There's a popliteus muscle in the calf area, and this is where I believe the popliteal artery is around. And then you can see that dorsalis pedis is now, it's moved to medium, so we've cleared the superficial on that. But we've come up with a lot more solutions, which is really interesting. And then you want to name the solutions to your client, even if they don't know what it is in the conscious mind. They do know on some deeper level. L-methylfolate, they need to methylate. Arginine, they need to open up those vessels more to provide more flow and get more nutrition. The D-ribose is a type of specific sugar that helps with the cardiovascular system. I'm forgetting some of the details. Trimethylglycine, the methylation. Cactus helps with the valves of the heart. It's very, very good also for helping the heart to beat more efficiently. Okay, so we check those off. I like to do that individual checking, and then what we could do is we can do another 3 minutes. And again, my friend Liza takes this, I think, from the Zyto world. They call it cell cleansing, but it's a way to cast off the superficial things, right? The things that are, because there are things in your life that are sort of, I can take care of that. That's just going to take a second. And there are things in your life that take a much deeper examination. You're really going to have to work through things at a much deeper level. And I believe that that's what this offers us when we do this in this sequence, which I call the continuous balancing, or it's been called cell cleansing as well. Now, some of you are asking about the Genius in particular, and you guys, I think that it's really, really valuable to invest in either the video training or the mastery guide, or both. You can get just the e-version of my mastery guide for $27. So if you want to go get just the e-version of the mastery guide, $27 is well spent, and it's going to explain how to create custom categories. It's going to explain how to, what every single screen except for the oils and the herbs, what do they mean? So go to my website and type in mastery guide, and if you need me to send you a personal PayPal or send you the link, I can do that as well. But if you're just learning the Genius, at the very least, get the mastery guide for the $27, or get the full training package for $197, or get the mastery guide plus the video program for $177. So some multiple of those. I would really highly, highly recommend that. Christopher had asked a question saying, which is more important, the reds or the blues? The reds and the blues are of equal importance. Remember that other part of the testing area out here is just simply, this is where the likely probability is, but it's not 100% airtight. The really great testing takes place in Progressive Insights. Here, there's no harm in taking all of these, so all the way down, even in the 500s. And we don't really draw any solid conclusions here, you guys. It's very likely that hawthorn berry and arginine and serrapeptase are good remedies, and blue is basically the same thing, that it's very likely that these are good remedies. There's a slight difference between red and blue. I explained that in my mastery guide, where blue is probably about deficiency, compression, lack of flow. It's likely that blue is more significant than red. We study a similar process like this in the endocrine system with adrenal health. When people first start burning the candle at both ends and they start to stay up late nights in their career or whatever it might be, they start to get adrenal fatigue, and the body attempts to compensate with different compensatory mechanisms. We call this this is the adrenal fatigue stage 1. But eventually, all the compensatory mechanisms that, and in the Genius, that would be something appearing in red. So the compensatory, when you're trying to compensate in the early stages of something, that would be like it appearing in red. If you do this over for many years and you've something serious happen in your life, or you move to a new location, then, and you don't take any adaptogens, then after a time you go into complete adrenal fatigue, where the compensatory mechanisms of the body just can't keep up with the depletion of resources. And so this sort of adrenal depletion is represented by blue, something that's chronic, something that's been around for a long period of time. When you're looking at solutions, which we're looking here at solutions, so the whole thing becomes switched around. Just think about taking the whole thing and turning it on its ear. The complete opposite rules apply. Here it's telling us that there's a correlative connection to the person's energy frequency, that they're very interested and resonating with these. And in fact, even more so in that same way at a deeper level with these. But the problem is that the testing is not as strong. So in these screens, you are observing. And you're saying, you know, if this trimethylglycine comes up at the top, then that's probably very significant because it was a blue item, which is a very high level of resonance. But when we test in the progressive insights, we really get, that's where the strongest algorithms for outcome are. So once again, we can go in here. When we do that, we do want to add at least one item. I think that was already added. So here about, how about tocopherols? We're going to get to 30. And it's really important to get a good test. We do have to add one item. And so now on the third testing for this person for the day, arginine. And so again, now we want to communicate to the person, even if we're not a doctor, we don't have a nutritional degree. Isn't this interesting? Arginine is coming up for the third time for you, and now as we dive deeper and we peel the layer of the onion, it's come up a third time. I think it would be helpful for you to read about arginine and educate yourself in case this is a supplement you might be interested in availing yourself to. We never, unless you have a nutrition degree or a doctor's licensure or acupuncture and so forth, we don't prescribe a nutrition based on biofeedback, but we can explain it in that way. Isn't this interesting that your energy field is resonating with this particular item? I think it would be really helpful to read about this and see if this is something that you may want to avail yourself to. Then we see the tibial artery, so there's something going on in that lower extremities. Things you can ask the person. Do you find that you tend to heal very slowly in the leg or the foot area? Do you have any toe fungus? Do you have any of the strawberry hemangiomas? Do you have any spider veins? So there's something going on in that lower extremity area. Hawthorn berry, costocervical trunk is an interesting one that's coming up for the first time, but I've seen that before in this client. Potassium, celiac artery, etc. So you're the observer. Even if you just read everything to the person, their deeper state of being, their deeper higher self knows why these are important. And then just for time, I'm just going to do select all, and then we run these. But I do tend to like to do the high items. And again, when you're seeing a lot of high items come up, you're probably hitting home runs. You've chosen a very, very good swath of frequencies, and we still have a lot of high items coming up there. Very, very interesting. So this is a good place for this person to be working from. Now, I didn't, because I've just been busy talking about the physical, I didn't add in emotions, but adding in the emotion screen and the Bach flower essence screen will add a considerable amount of value to the impact of your running the frequencies. Those are magical panels to use. There are other ones too, like meridians and solfeggio frequencies. Those are all really good, but you're definitely, because we're emotional, everything that you're seeing is going to be somehow related to some emotion. The emotion is going to be related to some deeper wound. And if you're really into that, you could come up with a whole list of belief systems. There are very common belief systems. You could probably just Google, common human negative belief systems online and come up with a whole series of things to identify for people. It's always going to be physical condition, emotion that's related to it, some past wound that's being triggered. So if we could heal that chain, that causal chain, that goes a long way. And biofeedback is a vehicle or a conduit to making that happen. All right, so you guys, okay, so I'm just trying to read your questions here. All right, so any questions about that process? Did anybody understand that process that we talked about? I've got a lot of general questions about the genius, which is fine, but did you guys understand that process that we just talked about? And give me some feedback if that made sense to you. We didn't have any volunteers. All right, let's go through these questions. Karen says, I think just hello, and hello, Karen, welcome. Can you explain the protocol for sleep issues using the genius, says Charlotte. There's no specific protocol for sleep issues. We do have a custom library, and we do have a whole program on sleep that we did. So if we go to the libraries and we add that to the client, there's a number of different sleep panels that we did for a class that was done on sleep a while back, and so we can use these. That's pretty good, because when somebody isn't sleeping, we want to find out why they are not sleeping. It's individual. I guess common things that I find with people is that do they exercise enough, honestly, during the day? Do they drink enough water? Do they get outside at some point during the day, and do they see sunshine at some point, or do they see the light? Do they see the light at some point in the day? Why is this not letting me test again? Okay, I see. So yeah, do they sleep with their wireless internet on? Do they sleep with a lot of electrical appliances in their bedroom? All those need to be removed. Do they need a small dose of melatonin? I found that to be really, really helpful for people. And some people are averse to external melatonin. I've given people high doses of natural melatonin, like up to 10 milligrams, but for short periods of time, only because I want their own sleep cycle restored. Also, I find that my menopausal, perimenopausal, postmenopausal women, that they don't have enough progesterone, and that affects their sleep cycle. So what happens for women in menopause is that they have lower estrogen, but they also have lower progesterone, and the gap between the two becomes very wide. And so they have even though they have low amounts of estrogen, they have way more estrogen than they do progesterone. And so I do find that different herbs or bioidentical hormones may be helpful. For example, Vitex, which is chasteberry, or evening primrose oil, or borage. These kinds of things can support the progesterone. So what I wanted to look at here was these different sleep panels that we have here. And so let's just look at sleep solutions if it's in here. So this would be one. So you could run the sleep solutions with emotions and flower essences, Charlotte, and you could just run those frequencies. You're always sort of looking for, let's just clear this all. You're always sort of looking for the root cause or good solutions, but you can run these solutions for them. It's probably not going to be a one-off, right? They're going to have to run these for several days or a week. So one thing we're going to talk about in the biofeedback practitioner class is more using the Quanta Insight. So how can we use not the Insight, using the Quanta capsule to send people frequencies so that they can balance themselves over a number of days, right? It's probably not going to be a one-off, but all of these look like they could be helpful. Then we get in, you want to make sure you run those emotions. And I know this probably seems repetitive, but I can't emphasize it enough. You want to create a complete cycle for people. You want to create a very balanced protocol for people. So get those emotions in there. And the emotions is, you want to be gentle with people, right? This is something you don't have to push in their face. You don't have to say, well, it looks like you have regret and contempt, right? You want to just, you may not want to discuss them at all. You may want to say, I'm just including the emotions. You could let them peek over your shoulder and see the emotions coming up for them and see how they respond. I always preface it, and look at how many of the emotions I'm including. I always preface it with, look, we all have emotions and we all have wounds. I have my own that I'm working through. Everybody, you want to be as sort of create that rapport with the person, because people can be really triggered if they see rage or anger coming up for them, and they'll all often say, I don't have that. I don't have rage or anger. And so we don't want to get into a confrontation with them. I just say, who knows? The subconscious is so tricky. Who knows? When you do see a positive emotion, this sometimes means that the person is trying to get to that emotion. So they're trying to experience that happiness, but they're at a loss, so they're not quite connecting to it. Then we want to give their flower essence, and I recommend in the Mastery Guide you have this. There is a resource, right, that defines all of the flower essences, and I recommend that you say to your client, this is the #1 flower essence that came up for you today, and then you read it. That in and of itself could be a healing protocol. Just reading them the different flower essences that begin to ride or percolate to the top. So let's grab these. And so a bunch of them, right? Now this is a very complete protocol actually for sleep. It has some solutions in there, and it has some emotions and flower essences. We actually could go back to the, sorry, I'm going in the wrong direction here. We could go back to the libraries, and there might be something else that we want to include, like let's do sleep adrenal assessment. So the adrenals are very much related to sleep. So electromagnetic frequency reduction required for good sleep. You see how you can craft these custom libraries to be so specific. Remember, the devil is in the details, or heaven is in the details. The more detailed you can get in understanding your client, very likely the more that you can help them. Correct the lighting for healthy sleep. So there's some lighting. We've talked about the blue blockers. It's after dark. You should be wearing blue blocking glasses in your home, because even incandescent lights give off blue light, as well as your TV screen, your computer screen, and you should have blue blocking technology on all of your devices. So do you guys know about this? We haven't really talked about this in a really long time. Do you guys know Just Get Flux? So Google Just Get Flux. I just put it in the comment section there, Just Get Flux, and put that on all your devices and your computer. That is a blue blocking technology. Now the Apple iOS actually has blue blocking technology in it, which, wow, I can't even believe Apple actually did that. I think because there's such a confluence of people in Silicon Valley and all of the biohackers. So this is what Just Get Flux looks like. And ever notice at night, people texting at night have that eerie blue glow? And so this removes the blue light at night. And you guys, you really, really need that. The blue light blocks your production of melatonin. And this is cortisol too low for healthy sleep. Really fascinating that when people get so adrenally depleted, do you remember as a teenager, that'd be that one time that you knocked yourself so out, or maybe in your 20s or whatever, one time in your life, you're just so tired, you didn't have enough energy to sleep. You know, that everybody's had one of those experiences. So your cortisol is too low. So this really requires adaptogens. You need to maybe licorice in the morning, Siberian ginseng, Panax ginseng, reishi, all of the good, even chaga, but it's not really an adaptogen. Ashwagandha is an amazing adaptogen. I'm going to say Rehmannia, and the other one is rhodiola. Rhodiola is like the #1 adaptogen for women. Really, really a great, everybody here, men and women, probably would benefit from taking rhodiola. Okay, so then we want to remember this is only probability, so we want to include all of these. Lighting to blue for healthy sleep, same theme. The other thing that makes you really, really good in biofeedback is reading the tea leaves. So looking at this and saying, oh, I see this repeated over and over again. I see the pattern here. So when you see those patterns, you know, lighting too blue for healthy sleep, correct the lighting for healthy sleep, right? It tells you, okay, probably this is an issue. Sorry. Cortisol too high for healthy sleep, but this is in green. Now, it actually can be too high and too low. So people can be having fluctuations at night. But adaptogens will help people. Also, getting up the same time every morning within an hour of the sunrise. So if you look and see what the sunrise is in your area, here I think that the sun is rising around 6:45. So it's really important that my clients hear that they get up between 5:45 and 7:45. That's a pretty reasonable time for most people, but if they're sleeping past that, they're not going to feel well. So, and then try to get up the same time every day and go to bed the same time every day. The best time for sleep for human beings generally is before 10:30. So anyway, but the same time every day and the same time every night. So now we have some really, really good sleep pieces. The pieces to the puzzle are now in here. Now let's go to Progressive Insights. Okay, so now it's almost like when we get into Progressive Insights, this is where we can sort of, I used to have a friend that did classes where we created vision boards, and for like a couple of weeks we didn't glue our pieces, like our pictures, onto the vision board. And she said, finally, it's time to glue the pieces onto the board and finalize your work. And I always think about that, like this is where we're gluing our pieces to the board. This is where we're sort of finalizing our analysis, and we're getting ready to do the real work of balancing. So now when we get in here, we kind of say, okay, like this blue thing with the blue light, that's a big thing for that person. In fact, we have the strongest testing algorithms in the program telling us this. And then L-theanine, so the brain waves are not conducive. We're not able to produce those really great brain waves for slowing the brain down to get into a state of relaxation. So L-theanine feeds the GABA pathway, gamma aminobutyric acid, and helps to slow the brain down. And then a really important clue or piece of information is about the flower essence vine. So we would go to the reference guide, the mastery guide, and look up vine, then read that to the client, because it's likely that this vine thing has a very important piece of information. And I'm not sort of getting confused with those web pages here. I'm trying to bring that up. So very capable people, vine, certain of their own ability, confident of success, being so assured they think that it would be for the benefit of others if they could be persuaded to do things as they themselves do or as they are certain is right. Even in illness, they will direct their attendance. They may be of great value in emergency. That's from Bach himself. So there are other descriptions of it. But you'd be surprised how often you really nail that issue. And there might be several flower essences. What they're doing is, in biofeedback, they're being a conduit of communication for that issue. I'm not finding anything else interesting about Vine, but you can, it says the emotional group of over-caring for the wellness of others. So anyway, but when you read that to people, they'll find something, usually some gem that they needed to know. And if we could see their energy field, when you read it to them, there's tremendous clearing of their energy field. So when you read them, when you inform them, you're giving them information, and that is what the frequencies of the program do. They deliver information to consciousness. So there's this partnership always between that human relaying of information and the actual program itself. Now, which do you think is more powerful? If you just send them frequencies, which is very powerful, but what about if you engage with them and you also are explaining like some of these things to them? Even if you're just reading it from the internet, from Google, there still will be great value. So you're giving them that cognitive information, and you're giving them the information through the technology of the genius. All right, so then we would highlight those and then we would run it. So now, as far as healing somebody of a particular issue, like where you're really trying to get the results, it's going to be repetition. So repetition, either they can run those frequencies for themselves every day through the Quanta capsule, or you run them, like you do a session with them via Skype or in person on Monday. And then on Wednesday, you test them again via the voice and picture that you captured on Monday. And then there's different ways to do that, or they can leave you a voicemail on Wednesday morning, and then you run them for another 15 minutes on Wednesday, and then you run them for another 15 minutes on Friday. You have another meeting with them on Monday, live meeting, where you tell them what you've discovered and how things are changing, how are they doing, and you're probably going to need to do that for 3 weeks, depending on the condition. At least 3 weeks. Like for sleep, you would expect their sleep to get better over a 3-week period. If they have cancer, that might take 6 months. So there is no really magic solution like in one session. There could be. I mean, there could be. But it's been more of my experience that it takes repetition. Just like it takes repetition to hear something several times, right? I really need to repeat things over and over again, even in my classes, because I get it. It takes a while for it to sink in. That's why I keep telling you that these are the most important, this is the most important testing area in the program, is progressive insights. All right, so we haven't made it through very many questions. When you say here is the link, not quite sure where you're showing the link. Is it the Awaken Total Health? Okay, there's a question box on your screen somewhere, Carol, and I think people who watch on the iPad have the most difficulty with this. So let's do this. If you ever are not sure about a link, please send me. I have enough time to answer your emails, not if they're really, really long, but send me a message, ariel@awakentotalhealth.com, and send me your question, what link you need for the Mastery Guide or for the Biofeedback Practitioner Program, and I will send that to you. Shireen says, I'm sorry for attending late. Well, I'm so glad you can drop in any time during the hour on Monday, and I'm happy that you joined us. I don't have the specific heart library with the other heart libraries. Yes, so Fiona, I know sometimes that's frustrating, but I am coming up with new libraries all the time. So yes, there is a charge for the libraries, and I usually try to include a guide and how to work with the program. But I think it's new research. It's really what I'm discovering over time as I've sort of done this for 5 years. What really will make this program powerful. So yes, I'm adding it a little bit over time. Now, you also could do this yourself. You could go to Wikipedia and you could enter all of these vessels yourself. I mean, I'm just using my naturopathic knowledge to sort of put this together as a whole program. So you can get the program. It's actually not complete yet, but I'm going to have it completed soon. It's going to include the vessels of the human body and then how to work with them and how to clear them, which I think is incredibly valuable and powerful. And Shireen says, what does the little boxes on the left side mean? This is something that I've really tried to ask Ryan to change, and it's not going to be changed, so let's just learn how to use it. These are the functional zone considerations, and when you want to know more about the story, like why is something happening, you can often use the functional zone considerations. In my Mastery Guide, I explain every functional zone. For $27, at least get the e-version. If you're in the US, $47 for e-version and hard copy. Totally well worth it because of the information in there is going to illuminate this program. There is a free manual that comes with the program, but you guys, I personally, just so you guys know, I do not own the Genius at all. I have no rights to it. I can't really change it except for asking Ryan, who's been very, very kind in making changes that I've recommended. So, but what I've done is I've written a guide based on what I think would be the best use of the program and explaining everything in the program through my words. And there is a manual out there that's free. I just don't think it really gets the job done in terms of explaining in simple terms how to use the program. That's just my opinion. So what you can do is you want to take sort of a theme, like what did we have here? We don't really have anything that's really, really good for this. We need a condition or part of the anatomy or an infection. Let me just see if I can get anything that seems like it would work here. Maybe the blue light thing. Now, the blue light is more like something that happens. These are more, anyway, what you want to do is you want to take the thing that you want to test. Let's see if there's anything we can add in quickly here. And then you want to use it as a functional zone to explore things. So what we really need is maybe the sleep physiology would be a good one. So let's quickly test sleep physiology. And let's drop hypothalamus. And you see, of course, the pineal gland. I don't have time to talk all about that, but I think you get that pineal gland is related to producing melatonin. Melatonin helps you to get into a deep state of sleep. And by the way, you guys, you'd be surprised how often sleep is related to really simple issues like, are they getting enough water? Are they getting outside during the day? Do they get enough exercise? And I find that as people over like 40, although there is like sort of, you know, people are more aware of being fitness, but you'd be just amazed like how many of my menopausal folks are just really not getting a significant amount of exercise. But anyway, so let's go to suprachiasmatic nucleus. That's something in the brain. Now we check this and we want to say, tell me more about the story of why the suprachiasmatic nucleus is not having the most flow or harmony it could have. Then we go to functional zone considerations and we get additional clues. And we can include these additional clues in our balancing protocol. So basically read your energy field and it says there's something emotional related to the sleep issue. Good one, right? That's fantastic. And then we tap on this again and it gives us additional clues which we can include in our balancing. So it's really just a way of completing the story. To be honest with you, it was supposed to be a lot, there was supposed to be a lot more to telling the story. And so this functional zone thing is like sort of like only partially built out, and that's why it's not as really as valuable as it could be. So depressive tendency stress evaluation. So the person sort of tends towards depression. That's affecting their brain and affecting their sleep pattern. Now I know you're going to ask like, well, what the heck do you do about it? There should be more in here, right? But there is some value in including this. And they have something that, a miasm, something that they inherited, something that they brought with them. That's what that is about. Now, there are some remedies within this frequency. This is not just a whole linguistic frequency. It includes a lot of homeopathics and other remedies in there. So there is value in including it. So that's really all I can say about the functional zone at this time. You can add them into your balancing and then see if those frequencies come up. So that's significant, right? And let's just select all and run some frequencies here. We're going to finish in the next 1 to 2 minutes. So let me just read your questions really quickly. I was working with the meridians and wanted to know if you do a quick clear on a descending pattern or from the bottom up. Candy, you can't do a quick clear just on one panel. So if you're doing a quick balance, it's actually picking up all of the highs and lows from the entire program. So I don't know if that's exactly what you were saying. I can talk more about the meridians next time, but the quick clear, my understanding of what it does is it just takes all the frequencies that are high and all of them are low. I don't think it selectively goes to the highs first or the lows first. Jane says it's very inspiring, and Candy says as a retired physician's assistant it makes sense. Okay, longer comment there, not going to have time to read that. And severe sleep issues. So Carol, remind me next time when we can work with you, okay? So be the first one to volunteer. So you guys, I'm gonna wind things up, but when you come on Mondays, if you have a burning desire to be a volunteer, just come on to the call and type in your date of birth. So just come on to the call on Mondays and type in your date of birth, and I will know that you're somebody who wants to have a session, be a volunteer. Now, I do have a lot of exciting things coming up. I'm going to be doing a regular weekly Facebook Live, and I'm going to be telling you guys all about that. We're going to have a lot more social media presence coming up. And again, I really appreciate you guys being here. Have a great week. Look for my weekly newsletter. Yes, it is coming out every week. If you're still not getting my newsletter, please send me a message, Ariel@awakentotalhealth.com, and we will figure out how to make sure it gets to your email box. But yay, I'm actually putting them out every week. And remember to sign up for the free webinars for the practitioner program, just so you can learn more about it and find out if it's something for you. Wishing you a wonderful day with much abundance and many blessings, you guys. Take care now and be well. Bye-bye for now.